Having helped over 100 businesses across various industries for the past 6 years, we've narrowed down the best angles that get editors and journalists hooked and almost always want to feature you on their media platforms. It doesn't matter if you are small or large business. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 7 proven PR angles to capture the heart of any journalist and get your business featured. Okay, so today we are going to go into a little bit more about the understanding of PR angles. It is important for us to know what is the format and what is the structure, what is the framework in which the media takes on certain stories. If we analyze it in detail, we would know that there are certain type of stories that the media is looking for, right? So being able to identify what angles the media is looking for helps us to be able to identify what is relevant for our brand to take on. Not all of these angles would be relevant for your brand because some are used for certain industries, some work better for different industries. So we will go through these angles, and then after that we would have an exercise where you will be able to work on the angles that make the most sense for your brand. Okay, let's begin. So the first one is a media event. This works a lot better for a B2C type of businesses, direct to the consumers. And there is a very lifestyle experience that the media, the influencers are looking for. This could be in the form of like a tasting, if it is a restaurant business, a spa treatment, different facial treatments, or even like massage, for example. Right, there's a very lifestyle element to it. For example, we did the media invitation for event. We invited media, we invited influencers down for them to experience it. We provided them with certain materials to share about it, photos and all that. And I will go into the specifics of how you can actually run a media event later on. Right. So if you are a B2B business, it's not that it's totally impossible to do an event, but it is a little bit more challenging because you need to have the right mechanics to get the media excited about what you do. So what I mean by the right mechanics is that previously we had a robotics company. They were going into cleaning robots, and they actually had an event where they got the government minister in Singapore down to grace the event, to say a few words, and then they launched their robots. Their robots were very visual. They were dancing, singing, and then they were able to clean spaces as well, right? That was quite groundbreaking. It was quite visual. So we had a lot of local, international media come down. They took videos, photos of the robots, and it went quite international. They started getting responses from exhibitors all over the world. They started getting contracts from all over the world. Right. So that was a B2B kind of an event, but there needs to be certain elements, right? It could be a huge announcement. And a huge announcement means maybe collaborations with big organizations, big parties, or it could be something very, very visual, very, very technologically advanced that you are launching. And a lot of times when people think of like things that they're going to launch from a B2B space, they think of like software, right? Or an app that maybe they are launching that's a bit different. But there needs to be that physical experience. There needs to be something that people can interact with for an event to be exciting for the media. Especially when we talk about like maybe TV news, right? Like Channel News Asia, they're looking for something visual. Which is why robotics is always in the news quite a bit when we talk about B2B. The other one that we do is also media drops. So we do send products, or we do like send certain things like packages that we put together for the media and influencers to be able to experience our brand. So for example, in this case, we do work for one of the truffle mooncake brands in Singapore. And then every year we will send across like the mooncakes to a select group of food-related media, food-related influencers. So what needs to accompany this sending out of product is also to share with them like a press release along with it, with some of the key things that these media influencers can highlight. And I will run you through the process of this as well later on. Okay. The other one that is very common to a lot of startups and SMEs is really people stories, because as a founder, your business is really a reflection of who you are, and it's very key to be able to tell your story, your narrative as to why you started it, how you want your business to be to be different in the industry, how you want to change the world in some way or another. The best way to do it is through a founder story. Being able to talk about your inspiration, your challenges, and your vision. So we see a lot of founder stories out there, right? Going through the difficult times and getting to where they are. Some clients that we work with, they don't like to tell their founder story. They prefer to be, a little bit more back end, which we try to encourage them otherwise. But apart from your founder story, there are various other people stories that we can focus on, right? One of it could be your staff who have very interesting backstories, right? They could be having a very interesting hobby. They overcame certain disabilities to get to where they are right now. It's basically stories that you don't usually hear on a daily basis. And I'll run through a bit of that matrix later on. Students, for example, if you're an educational institute and your students are like maybe developing some very new, interesting products, services, or they won an award that is not that easy to get, right? Very, very, very unique or rare awards. We also work with various healthcare organizations, and we profile volunteers who are going the extra mile, going out of the way to support beneficiaries. And then we talk about stories of beneficiaries. We have a healthcare organization that we are supporting, like I mentioned, and then we profile stories of elderly beneficiaries, right? How maybe they are benefiting for a certain program, benefiting from a certain activity, exercise, so on. A common mistake that a lot of brands make is that they think that an announcement is super groundbreaking. When it comes to enterprise technology, for example, being approved by Google or being approved by a various service provider, it is groundbreaking to the company, but it may just be a very niche industry related news that not all the mainstream media will be keen on. So that's why we reserve announcements for things that are huge, right? Like maybe for example, this car sharing platform has reached a record number of users in Singapore, and they are almost the biggest. So we can make announcements like that. We do make a lot of funding announcements, a lot of M&A announcements. Let's say your company got acquired or your company is acquiring another brand. Those are some of the announcements we do. Partnerships with recognized institutions. So for example, if your company is partnering with various government organizations or has inked deals with big companies, those are some of the announcements that we will do. There is a format in which we craft those press releases, and I will share that later on as well. The next one is expert opinions. Expert opinions is quite fun. It is trying to leverage on what news is out there, and then finding an opportunity for yourself to comment on it. So for example, in this scenario, it was during the COVID-19 period where there was a lockdown. And then we had a client that is a fintech platform for financial advisors, insurance agents. They started to see a huge spike in terms of their subscription numbers because people could not meet physically. And then they needed like an additional digital tool to be able to convince, to be able to communicate certain things to their clients about their financial situation. So as a result, we pitched a story, right? We said that how, as a result of this pandemic, one of the industries that is very badly hit is insurance agents, and how they are turning to digital tools. They saw this company saw a huge spike in terms of subscription numbers. And the story was taken up by Channel News Asia, who interviewed the founders, who talked a little bit about this trend. So if you can see, the premise of this story is that we're not promoting how good the fintech platform is. We're not promoting how good the company is, but we are leveraging on what is happening out there, what is happening in the news, to be able to bring across relevance and key to our brand, our company, if we fit into that narrative. Okay. Yeah. So the next one is byline articles. Increasingly, as newsrooms get smaller, we are seeing a lot of contribution articles being picked up a lot more. there is more interest in contribution articles because it requires less manpower. Okay, so what these contribution articles are basically you writing a certain opinion about a industry topic, right? And then commenting on various trends that you see. It could be certain insights. It could be a very controversial point of view. And then sharing these commentary pieces with various publications. So this works very, very well for B2B because it falls into the realm of thought leadership. But if you're trying to get into publications that are like maybe smaller news sites or smaller media hubs where they don't have as much manpower to support in doing interviews, it's great to like craft out a listicle and get into these publications. So an example of a listicle for a smaller news site could be something parenting related. So for example, we actually reached out to like the Asian parent to say, hey, these are 5 tips that you can take note of during the school holidays. And then it is written by one of the student care centers or the tuition centers that we do work for, right? Or how to make physics fun, 5 ways to make physics fun. And it's by one of our education centers. So the thing about these listicles is that people have a tendency to make it very promotional, and inserting a lot of hyperlinks about your company or what your company is doing. But the key thing is in creating value, in creating content that is not a promotional piece, not an editorial. Yep. So we have to be very mindful of where to draw the line and look at this really from a content piece that people want to read and not having a lot of sales bits within your article. The next one is trends and insights, right? This one works incredibly well if your company has a lot of data, has a lot of insights into consumer preferences. For example, various research companies, HR recruitment companies. Let's say you have insights into the job movement, job market, which industries are doing better, what is the salary range like, stuff like that. Or let's say, your brand is a data tech platform and you have a lot of data on your platform about how consumers are buying a certain product or how they are behaving a certain way with regards to exercise or diets. And then pulling out some of these statistics and data and sharing it with the media in a press release. So ideally, this would be, a good enough database, like 1,000 people that you can survey, or at least 1,000 people on your platform from specific ages, being able to provide that and share their sort of insights.